They sold my dream car in 20 minutes, but I'd been planning my revenge for 20 years. Well, not exactly revenge. Let's call it justice. Fair is fair, right? I'm Rebecca Martinez, and if you've ever been the family's designated doormat, you'll understand every word of what I'm about to tell you. Picture this. It's 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning in suburban Denver, and I'm in my garage with a microfiber cloth, polishing my 1967 Mustang Fastback, cherry red with white racing stripes. Not just any car, my car. The one I saved for, researched for 2 years, and bought with my own marketing executive salary. This wasn't some joint purchase with my husband David. This wasn't a gift from his family. This was mine, titled in my name, insured under my policy, parked in what I thought was our shared driveway. Every Sunday morning for the past 18 months, I'd wake up early just to spend an hour with her. Pathetic, maybe. But in a house full of Wilson family chaos, that garage was my sanctuary. David's family, God loved them, had opinions about everything. Where we ate dinner, how we spent holidays, why we didn't have kids yet, and especially how we spent money. But they never questioned my Sunday morning ritual. Mother-in-law Janet would peek through the kitchen window and smile indulgently, like I was playing with an expensive toy. Father-in-law Robert would nod approvingly. At least someone in the family appreciated classic American muscle. The thing about living with your in-laws to save money for a house is that your business becomes everyone's business. David and I had moved in 2 years ago, right after our wedding, with a 12-month timeline that somehow stretched into 24 months of me tiptoeing around someone else's routines, eating dinner at exactly 6 p.m., and pretending to enjoy Janet's passive-aggressive comments about my work schedule. But that Sunday morning, my sanctuary became their solution. Have you ever had that moment where your phone rings and you just know, your life is about to change? David's ringtone cut through my peaceful car polishing meditation at exactly 7:43 a.m. He was supposed to be at his company golf tournament, but his voice had that nervous tremor I'd learned to recognize over 3 years of dating and 2 years of marriage. Honey, about your car. 4 words. That's all it took for my stomach to drop into my work boots. I set down the microfiber cloth and gripped the phone tighter. What about my car, David? Silence. Then a deep breath that told me everything I needed to know before he said another word. Emma's having a really hard time adjusting since she got back from rehab. Mom and Dad think a change of scenery would help. Somewhere therapeutic and peaceful where she can really focus on her recovery. Emma. 25-year-old Emma, David's younger sister who'd been in and out of treatment centers for the past 3 years. Cocaine, alcohol, prescription pills. Take your pick. The family had spent roughly the GDP of a small country on her various healing journeys, and she'd relapsed within weeks of each return home. David, what does Emma's recovery have to do with my car? Another pause, longer this time. There's this place in Malibu, Holistic Healing Center, very exclusive, very effective, according to their website. But it's expensive, and Emma needs to go immediately while she's motivated to change. I felt my wedding ring grow heavy on my finger, the same finger that had signed loan documents, insurance papers, and the title transfer when I bought my Mustang. The same hand that had written check after check for family emergencies over the past 2 years. David Wilson, tell me you did not sell my car. Rebecca, please understand, tell me you did not sell my car without asking me. It was $15,000, honey, enough to cover the deposit and first month at the center. We can buy you another car later when we're more financially stable. But this is Emma's life we're talking about. I hung up. Not dramatically, not with screaming or threats. I simply pressed the red button and set my phone on the workbench next to my bottle of car wax. Then I walked into the house, past Janet, who was making her famous Sunday pancakes, past Robert, who was reading his morning paper, and up to what David and I called our room, but which felt more like an extended stay hotel suite. I opened my laptop. You see, there's something David's family didn't know about their financially responsible, always accommodating daughter-in-law. Something I'd been keeping as a surprise for our upcoming second anniversary. Something that was going to change the entire dynamic of our little living arrangement. 6 months ago, while researching investment properties for clients at my marketing firm, I'd found a gem. A 4-bedroom colonial in David's parents' neighborhood. Actually, 3 houses down from where we were currently living. The owner was relocating for work and needed a quick sale. All cash, no contingencies. Close in 2 weeks. I bought it. With my own money, in my own name, as an investment property. The plan was to surprise David on our anniversary. Maybe move in together and rent out the extra rooms, or keep it as a rental property for our retirement portfolio. The lawyer had advised keeping it separate until we'd built more financial trust in our marriage. Apparently, he'd seen too many young couples make expensive mistakes. But here's the thing about investment properties in this neighborhood. They make excellent rental income. And here's the thing about the house David's family was currently living in. They'd been renting it for the past 5 years from an LLC that managed several properties in the area. An LLC that had recently sold this particular property to a cash buyer. An LLC that had sold it to me. I scrolled through my email until I found the property management company's latest correspondence. There it was, in black and white. Final rental payment received. Ownership transfers to R. Martinez on January 15th. Tenants to be notified of new landlord contact information. They sold my car from my driveway while living in my house. The irony was so perfect it almost made me laugh. Almost. I called my lawyer. Rebecca, good morning. How can I help you? Hi, Jonathan. I need to understand my rights as a property owner. Specifically, what are my obligations to existing tenants, and what's the standard notice period for changes in living arrangements? Jonathan paused. Is everything all right? You sound stressed. Let's just say I'm having some clarity about family dynamics and property rights. I see. Well, in Colorado, if you're planning any changes to a rental situation, you typically need to provide 30 days written notice. But Rebecca, if this involves your in-laws and the property you purchased, I'd strongly recommend we discuss this in person. These situations can get complicated quickly. I made an appointment for Monday morning. The rest of Sunday passed in a strange, surreal bubble. David came home from his golf tournament around 3 p.m., nervous and apologetic. He found me in the kitchen, calmly helping Janet prepare Sunday dinner like nothing had happened. Rebecca, did you get my message about calling you back? I got it. And I looked up from chopping vegetables. And what, David? Are you okay with the Emma situation? Janet paused in her stirring. Robert lowered his newspaper slightly. The whole house seemed to hold its breath. Oh, I'm fine with it, I said cheerfully. Fair is fair, right? That's what your mother always says. Janet beamed. Exactly. I knew you'd understand, Rebecca. Family comes first, and Emma really needs this opportunity. Absolutely, I agreed, returning to my vegetables. I completely understand the concept of fair being fair. David looked confused but relieved. The family dinner proceeded normally. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and pleasant conversation about Emma's promising future at the Malibu Healing Center. Everyone praised my mature attitude about the car situation. Robert even mentioned that they'd gotten a very fair price from the dealer. After dinner, David pulled me aside. Thank you, he said, wrapping his arms around me. I know that car meant a lot to you, but Emma's been struggling so much since she got back. This could really be her turning point. I hope so, I said sincerely. I really do hope this works out exactly as it should. Monday morning, I sat in Jonathan's office with a manila folder full of documents. So let me understand this correctly, he said, reviewing the papers. You own the house your in-laws are renting. They don't know you own it. And yesterday, they sold your personal vehicle to fund your sister-in-law's treatment program. That's correct. And you want to know your options. I want to know my obligations. As a property owner, what am I required to do and what am I allowed to do? Jonathan leaned back in his chair. Well, you're required to provide habitable housing as long as they're tenants and to give proper notice for any changes in the rental agreement. You're allowed to set reasonable rules for the property, adjust rental terms with proper notice, or terminate tenancy with appropriate legal procedures. And if I wanted to, hypothetically, give them notice that I'm planning to use the property for personal use. Perfectly legal. 30 days written notice is standard. Owner occupancy is a legitimate reason for ending a rental agreement. What if they don't know I'm the owner yet? Jonathan smiled. Well, that would certainly make for an interesting conversation. I spent the rest of Monday doing research. Not legal research. Jonathan had covered that. I researched Emma's therapeutic retreat in Malibu. Social media is a wonderful thing when people forget to check their privacy settings. The Malibu Holistic Healing Center was indeed exclusive and expensive. It was also based on Emma's Instagram posts from the past 48 hours, less about meditation and green juice, and more about beachfront yoga classes, wine tastings, and something called crystal healing sessions that looked suspiciously like a spa day with friends. But I wasn't done researching. I dug deeper into the family's finances, specifically their history of helping Emma. Credit card statements David had left on his desk. We shared financial transparency, after all. Conversations I'd overheard, receipts I'd seen lying around. 2 years ago, $12,000 for a wilderness therapy program that Emma left after 1 week. 18 months ago, $8,000 for a luxury detox center that she was asked to leave for bringing contraband. 1 year ago, $15,000 for a European recovery tour that ended with Emma being detained in Amsterdam. 6 months ago, $22,000 for the most recent rehab program, which she completed but relapsed from within 3 weeks of returning home. The pattern was clear. Every few months, Emma would have a crisis. The family would panic. Someone would find an expensive solution, and everyone would chip in to fund it. Except everyone had gradually become Rebecca and David, and then just Rebecca's savings account. But this time was different. This time, they hadn't asked me to contribute. They'd simply taken what was mine. Tuesday evening, I scheduled a family meeting. I have something important to share with everyone, I announced during dinner. Can we all sit down in the living room after we clean up? I have some documents I'd like to go through. Janet immediately looked worried. Documents? Rebecca, is everything all right? You're not pregnant, are you? No, Mom, David laughed. She's probably just excited about some work project. You know how detailed Rebecca gets with her presentations. Something like that, I agreed. Wednesday evening arrived. David, Janet, Robert, and I gathered in the Wilson family living room. I'd prepared carefully, manila folder, copies of all relevant documents, and a notepad with talking points. First, I began, I want everyone to know how much I appreciate living here these past 2 years. You've welcomed me into your family, and I've learned so much about the importance of putting family first. Everyone smiled and nodded, which brings me to my announcement. I pulled out the first document. I have a surprise that I've been keeping for our anniversary, David, but recent events have made me realize it's time to share it early. I handed David the property deed. I bought us a house. The room went silent as David read the document. His face went through several expressions: confusion, surprise, realization, and then something that looked like panic. Rebecca, he said slowly, this address, this house, I finished. I bought this house 6 months ago as an investment property. Surprise! Janet grabbed the deed from David's hands. That's impossible. We rent this house from a property management company. We've been renting it for 5 years. You were renting it from a property management company, I corrected, but they sold it to me. I am now your landlord. The silence stretched so long I could hear the grandfather clock in the hallway ticking. Robert was the first to speak. But David said you were just contributing to household expenses. He never mentioned you had this kind of money. David didn't know, I said calmly. I wanted it to be a surprise. I thought it would be romantic, buying the house we'd been living in together, making it officially ours. Janet's voice was barely a whisper. You own our house. I own this house, yes. David looked stricken. Rebecca, why didn't you tell me? I was going to. On our anniversary next month, I had this whole plan. Dinner at the restaurant where we had our first date, then coming home to our house with the deed as a gift. But now you're telling us because... I pulled out the next set of documents. Because yesterday you sold my car without asking me. And I realized that if we're going to talk about what's fair and what belongs to whom in this family, we should probably be completely transparent about everything. Janet found her voice. This is manipulation. Is it? I asked genuinely. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like clarity. You sold something that belonged to me to solve a family problem. I'm simply informing the family about something that belongs to me that affects our living situation. That's completely different. Janet's voice was rising. How is it different? Because we live here. This is our home. And that was my car. It was my daily transportation, bought with my money, titled in my name. Robert leaned forward. Rebecca, you can't seriously be comparing a house to a car. You're right, I said. A house is much more significant, which is why I'm having trouble understanding how selling someone's car without permission was considered acceptable. But mentioning that I own the house we all live in is somehow manipulative. David was staring at the deed like it might disappear. How did you afford this? Savings, investment income, and a substantial bonus from work last year. The same money I've been contributing to household expenses that somehow always ended up covering Emma's emergencies. The room fell silent again. I pulled out my phone and opened Emma's Instagram. Speaking of Emma, how is the healing center working out? I turned the screen toward the family. Emma's latest story showed her at what appeared to be a beach party, cocktail in hand, captioned, Malibu healing vibes, blessed die, recovery, living my best life. Janet snatched the phone. That doesn't mean anything. People in recovery are allowed to have fun. Of course they are, I agreed. I'm just curious about the $15,000 it cost, because according to the dealer receipt I found on David's desk, my car sold for $25,000. Dead silence. David? I looked at my husband. Would you like to explain the missing $10,000? His face had gone completely white. Emma said what? She said the center cost $25,000 for the full program. I gave her the entire amount from the car sale. I pulled out the final document, a printout from the Malibu Holistic Healing Center website, with their pricing clearly displayed. According to their official website, a 1-month intensive program costs $15,000. Their 3-month program costs $35,000. There is no $25,000 option. Janet was reading over my shoulder. Maybe she got a discount, or maybe there were additional fees, or maybe, I said quietly, Emma took $10,000 for herself and spent it on whatever she wanted, while you sold my car to fund it. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. David looked sick. Robert was staring at his hands. Janet was clutching the property deed so tightly her knuckles were white. Now, I continued, we have a choice. We can pretend this conversation never happened, and I can go back to being the accommodating daughter-in-law who contributes to every family crisis without question, or we can be completely honest about what's fair and what isn't. What do you want, Rebecca? David's voice was barely audible. I looked around the room at the people who had become my family, who had taken my kindness for granted, who had sold my most prized possession and lied about where the money went. I want my car back, or I want the $25,000 it actually sold for, and I want Emma to return the $10,000 she took. And if we can't do that? Robert asked. I stood up and gathered my documents. Then I guess you have 30 days to decide whether you'd like to continue renting from me, or if you'd prefer to find alternative housing arrangements. I walked toward the stairs, then paused. Oh, and just so we're all clear, fair is fair, right? You taught me that. The silence that followed my ultimatum lasted exactly 47 seconds. I know because I counted, watching David's face cycle through disbelief, anger, and something that looked dangerously close to betrayal. His parents sat frozen, still processing that their accommodating daughter-in-law had just served them an eviction notice in their own living room. "You can't be serious," David finally said, standing up so quickly his chair scraped against the hardwood floor. "Rebecca, this is my family home." "Actually, it's my house," I corrected calmly. "And yes, I'm completely serious." Janet found her voice, though it came out strangled and higher than usual. "This is blackmail." "No, this is business. You sold my property without permission. I'm simply informing you about the legal status of the property you're living in." I headed toward the stairs again. "You have 30 days to decide what you want to do." "Where are you going?" David called after me. "To pack a bag. I'll be staying at my friend Sarah's place while you all figure out how you want to handle this situation." The next few hours were a blur of hushed arguments downstairs, phone calls and text messages that I ignored. I packed methodically, work clothes, personal items, important documents. By 9 p.m., I was standing in Sarah's guest bedroom, staring at my suitcase and wondering if I'd just destroyed my marriage. My phone buzzed. "David." "Rebecca, please come home. We need to talk about this like adults." I typed back, "I am being an adult. Adults don't sell other people's property without permission." "It's not the same thing, and you know it." "How is it not the same thing?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, "Because we're family." I stared at that message for a long time before responding, "Family doesn't steal from family." My phone rang immediately. "I didn't steal from you." David's voice was sharp with frustration. "It was an emergency. Emma was having a crisis and we needed to act fast." "By selling my car without asking?" "I was going to talk to you about it, but you were at work, and the dealer said he had another buyer coming that afternoon. It was just bad timing." "Bad timing?" I sat down hard on Sarah's guest bed. "David, we've been married for 2 years. In what universe did you think it was okay to sell my car and tell me about it afterward? I thought you'd understand. You always understand. You're always so supportive of the family." "Being supportive doesn't mean being a doormat." Silence on his end. "Come home, Rebecca, please. We can work this out." "Have you talked to Emma about the missing $10,000? More silence. "David, she's not answering her phone. How convenient." "Rebecca, that's not fair. She's in treatment." "She's at a beach resort posting party pictures on Instagram. That's not treatment, that's vacation." I heard him sigh deeply. "Even if that's true, even if she took some of the money, that doesn't change the fact that you're threatening to kick my parents out of their home." "Your parents' home that I own, that they've been paying rent on for 5 years, that I bought as an investment property with my own money. When did you become so cold?" The question hit me like a slap. Cold. Was I being cold? Or was I finally standing up for myself after 2 years of being the family's financial safety net? "I became cold when you sold my car without asking me. I became cold when you lied about where the money went. I became cold when I realized that being warm and accommodating just made me an easy target." That's not what this family is about, isn't it? Let me ask you something, David. In the past 2 years, how much money have I contributed to family emergencies? Silence. "Take your time. I'll wait." "I don't know the exact amount." "I do. $27,000. Emma's wilderness program, her European tour, her luxury detox, her various fresh starts that never lasted more than a few weeks. $27,000 that came out of my savings account because it was always presented as a family emergency that couldn't wait. We're grateful for... And how much money has your family contributed to my emergencies?" "What emergencies? You never have emergencies." I never have emergencies because I plan ahead, save money, and don't create financial crises for other people to solve. But you're right. I never asked your family for help. Want to know why?" He didn't answer. "Because every time someone in your family has a crisis, it becomes everyone's problem to solve. But when I need something, when I want to buy a car, or save for a house, or plan for our future, that's my responsibility alone." That's not true. When I bought my car, did anyone in your family offer to help with the down payment? You didn't need help. You had the money. When I bought this house, did anyone offer to co-sign or contribute? We didn't know about the house, because I knew that if I told your family I was considering a major purchase, someone would have a crisis that required the money instead. The truth of that statement settled between us like a weight. So yes, David, I became cold. I became calculating. I became someone who keeps financial secrets because experience taught me that being transparent with your family means being taken advantage of. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd hung up. "What do you want me to do, Rebecca?" "I want you to choose." "Choose what?" "Choose your family. Your parents, Emma, and the family dynamic where everyone's crisis becomes my financial responsibility. Or choose your wife, our marriage, and a future where we make decisions together instead of having them made for us by other people's emergencies. That's not fair. Fair is fair, David. You taught me that. I hung up. Thursday morning, I went to work like nothing had happened. I had client meetings, presentation deadlines, and a conference call with our West Coast office. But every few hours, my phone would buzz with messages from various family members. "Janet, Rebecca, I think we got off on the wrong foot last night. Can we talk?" "Robert, you're a good person, Rebecca. Let's find a solution that works for everyone." "David, I love you. Please don't do this to us." Even Emma, apparently having figured out that her Malibu vacation might be in jeopardy. "Rebecca, I'm so sorry about the misunderstanding. I can explain everything when I get back." I answered none of them. Friday afternoon, Sarah found me in her kitchen, staring at my laptop screen. "Researching rental properties?" she asked, peering over my shoulder. "Looking at Emma's social media? She's been posting constantly since Tuesday." Sarah sat down next to me. "And?" "Beach volleyball yesterday. Wine tasting Wednesday. Something called sound healing that looks like people lying on yoga mats while someone plays music. So definitely not traditional rehab. Definitely not $15,000 rehab." I scrolled through more photos. Look at this one. Emma had posted a group photo from what appeared to be a restaurant with the caption, "Found my tribe. These amazing people are teaching me so much about living authentically, not growth, lagim blessed, na new beginnings." "She looks happy," Sarah observed. "She looks like she's on vacation." "Maybe vacation is what she needs." I turned to look at Sarah. "Maybe, but not with money stolen from selling my car." "Rebecca, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "What's the end game here? Let's say you get your money back or you evict David's parents, or Emma comes home and confesses to taking the extra cash. Then what?" I closed my laptop. "I don't know." "Do you want to save your marriage?" "I don't know that either." "Do you want David's family to respect you?" "I want them to stop treating me like an ATM with legs." Sarah laughed despite the tension. "Okay, that's a start, but seriously, what do you want your life to look like after this?" I thought about that question for the rest of the weekend. Saturday, I drove past the house, my house, and saw David's car in the driveway, along with 2 other vehicles I didn't recognize. Family meeting, probably. Planning their strategy. Sunday morning, instead of polishing my car in the garage, I went for a run through Sarah's neighborhood. It was quieter than David's parents' area, with smaller houses and bigger trees. The kind of place where you might actually know your neighbors' names. My phone rang at mile 3. Unknown number. "Hello?" "Rebecca, it's Emma." I stopped running. "Emma, how's Malibu?" "Can we talk, please? I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. About what? About the money. About everything. I'm flying home tonight, and I want to explain in person. Explain what, exactly? I never meant for this to happen. The car, the money, it got complicated, and I panicked. Emma, are you still drunk, or are you already hungover from last night's beach party? Silence. I saw your Instagram, I continued. Wine tasting, restaurants, group photos with your tribe. This isn't treatment, Emma. This is a vacation that I paid for. Some of those photos are old. They're time-stamped, Emma. Wednesday's wine tasting was posted Wednesday evening. Yesterday's beach volleyball was posted yesterday. More silence. I want the $10,000 back. I don't have it. What do you mean? You don't have it? I mean, I spent it. Not all of it, but most of it. The center was only $15,000, like you said, but there were other expenses. Plane tickets, meals, shopping, activities. Shopping. Rebecca, you have to understand. I've been so depressed, so anxious about disappointing everyone again. This trip, it's been the first time in months that I've felt like myself. So you decided to feel like yourself with my money? It wasn't supposed to be your money. David said he'd handled it, that it was taken care of. I didn't know he sold your car until yesterday when Mom called crying. I started walking back toward Sarah's house. Emma, do you understand what you've done? I made a mistake. You committed fraud. David sold my car under false pretenses, and you took money that didn't belong to you. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. You wouldn't press charges. You're family. Am I? Because family doesn't steal from family. We didn't steal... What would you call it? Emma was crying now. I'll pay it back. I promise. I just need time. How much time? I don't know. A few months? Maybe a year? Emma, you've been promising to pay people back for 3 years. Your parents have loaned you tens of thousands of dollars that you've never repaid. David and I have covered your emergencies since the day we got married. When exactly do you plan to start keeping these promises? This time is different. Why? Because I'm different. This trip, this experience, it's changed me. Into someone who steals $10,000? Into someone who knows what she wants from life. I had reached Sarah's front door. And what do you want from life, Emma? I want to move to California. I want to start over somewhere nobody knows about my mistakes. With my money. It's not just your money anymore. I spent it. It's gone. I hung up. Monday morning, David was waiting in my office parking lot. We need to talk, he said, falling into step beside me as I walked toward the building. I'm at work, David. Then let's talk tonight. Come home tonight. It's not my home anymore. He grabbed my arm, not hard, but enough to stop me. It's our home. The home you bought for us. The home I bought that you're willing to risk losing rather than hold your sister accountable for stealing from me. She's going to pay it back. When? She's working on it. David, Emma has never paid anyone back. Not your parents, not us, not the friends she's borrowed money from over the years. What makes you think this time will be different? Because she promised. I stared at him. She promised. Just like she promised to stay clean after wilderness therapy. Just like she promised to take rehab seriously after her European vacation. Just like she promised not to relapse after spending $22,000 on luxury treatment 6 months ago. People change, Rebecca. Do they? Because from where I'm standing, the only person who's changed is me. I used to trust your family. I used to believe that being generous and accommodating would be appreciated. I used to think that marriage meant being partners in decision-making. We are partners. Partners don't sell each other's cars without asking. It was an emergency. No, David, it was Emma manipulating your family one more time. And instead of recognizing the pattern, you chose to sacrifice my property to enable her. He ran his hands through his hair, the way he always did when he was frustrated. What do you want me to do? She's my sister. I can't abandon her. I'm not asking you to abandon her. I'm asking you to stop letting her abandoning herself become our financial responsibility. So, what's the solution here, Rebecca? You kick my parents out, Emma pays you back money she doesn't have, and we all pretend this never happened. The solution is that you choose what kind of family you want to be part of. One where everyone's crisis becomes my problem to solve, or one where people are held accountable for their choices. And if I can't make that choice, I looked at this man I'd married, this man I'd loved, this man who was asking me to choose between my self-respect and his family's dysfunction. Then I guess you already have. That evening, I drove to the house. My house. David's car was there, along with his parents' cars. The family meeting was apparently still in session. I walked through the front door, my front door, and found them all in the living room. David, Janet, Robert, and Emma, who had apparently flown back as promised. They all looked up when I entered, like children caught in the act of something they shouldn't be doing. "Rebecca," Janet said, standing up, "Emma wants to apologize." Emma looked terrible. Her Malibu tan couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes, and her hands were shaking slightly, coming down from whatever she'd been taking, probably. "I'm sorry," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "I'm sorry I took the extra money. I'm sorry David sold your car. I'm sorry this whole thing got so messed up." "Okay," I said. Everyone waited for more, but I just stood there. "That's it?" Emma asked. "Just okay?" "What else do you want me to say?" "I don't know. That you forgive me? Do you have my money?" "Not all of it." "How much do you have?" Emma looked at her parents, then at David. "About $3,000. So you spent $7,000 in 5 days. Some of it went to legitimate treatment expenses." "Emma." I held up my hand. "Stop. Just stop talking." I looked around the room at these people who had become my family, who had taken my kindness and turned it into an expectation, who had sold my car and then asked me to be understanding about it. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "You have 15 days to return my car or provide me with the full $25,000 it sold for. If you can't do that, you have 30 days to find somewhere else to live." "Rebecca," David started, "I'm not finished." "Emma, you owe me $10,000. I don't care how you get it, but you're going to pay it back. If you can't pay it back, you're going to work it off." "How?" "You're going to get a job. A real job. With a schedule and a paycheck and taxes taken out. You're going to live like a responsible adult instead of a perpetual teenager whose problems get solved by other people's money." Emma's face crumpled. "That's not fair. I'm sick. I have addiction issues." "Then you're going to get real treatment. Not spa retreats in Malibu, not wilderness vacations, not European tours. Real treatment, and you're going to pay for it yourself." "I can't afford real treatment." "Then you're going to get insurance through your job and use that insurance to find help." Janet stepped forward. "Rebecca, you're being cruel." "Am I? Or am I being the first person in 3 years to hold Emma accountable for her choices? She's struggling. We're all struggling, Janet. The difference is that the rest of us struggle without stealing from our families." Robert cleared his throat. "What if we could get the car back?" "Can you?" "The dealer might still have it. If we could come up with the money." "Where would you get $25,000? The room fell silent. "That's what I thought," I said. "You don't have the money because you've spent all your money cleaning up Emma's messes for the past 3 years, just like I've spent all my money cleaning up Emma's messes for the past 2 years." "So, what's your end game here?" David asked, echoing Sarah's question from days before. I looked at my husband, really looked at him. At the man who had promised to love and honor me, who had sold my car and then asked me to be understanding about it. My end game is that I want to be married to someone who considers me an equal partner, not a convenient source of funding for family emergencies. I do consider you an equal partner. Then why didn't you discuss selling my car with me before you did it? Because there wasn't time. There's always time to make a phone call, David. There's always time to send a text. There's always time to include your wife in major financial decisions that affect her directly. You're right, he said quietly. You're absolutely right. Am I? Because if I'm right, then you should be furious with Emma for lying about how much money she needed. You should be demanding that she pay back what she stole. You should be insisting that she get real help instead of enabling her with expensive vacations. David looked at his sister, then back at me. She's family, Rebecca. So am I. The truth of that statement hung in the air like a challenge. Emma was family by blood, by history, by shared childhood memories and inside jokes. But I was family by choice, by commitment, by legal documents and shared dreams. Choose, I said quietly. Rebecca, I'm not making you do anything, David. I'm just telling you that I won't continue to be married to someone who prioritizes everyone else's needs over our marriage. That's not what I'm doing, isn't it? I pulled the house keys from my purse and set them on the coffee table. You have 2 weeks to decide. Either Emma pays back the money she stole and gets real help for her addiction, or you find somewhere else to live. Either we become real partners in this marriage, or we end it. You can't mean that. I looked at this man I'd loved, this family I'd tried so hard to be part of, this house I'd bought as a symbol of our future together. Fair is fair, I said. You taught me that. And for the second time in a week, I walked out of my own house.